It's been a full day of intense competition at the ACC Wrestling Championships, and now we're ready for the finals. Who will take home the hardware as the next ACC champ? Find out next from Charlottesville. We move into the evening hours on a Sunday night in the hollow grounds of the University of Virginia. A good look inside John Paul Jones Arena in Charlottesville. It's championship night, the 2016 ACC Wrestling Championships. And the year 2016 will go down possibly as a record breaker for this conference, thanks in large part to North Carolina State and Virginia Tech. And the two heavyweights have not disappointed today. You see the Wolfpack leading by 3 points over Virginia Tech. North Carolina State with 6 in the championships coming up. Virginia Tech with 7. And with that, a big welcome, Sean Kinney alongside Tim Foley. Great to have you with us. And Tim, you look at this year for the ACC and what the Wolfpack and Hokies have done as far as kind of change the tide in the realm of college wrestling, and they have showcased it in full force today.
We're seeing the single best season from the ACC. And this is the culmination of that entire season. It's the culmination of this entire tournament. And we're seeing a lot of the best wrestlers in the country face off in tonight's finals.
You mentioned the best wrestlers in the country. Here is who to watch for coming up in the championship round. And Joey Dance of Virginia Tech, ranked number 3 in the country, looking for his second consecutive ACC title at 125. Then how about his teammate Nick Bracetta, looking for his 4th crown? And then you talk about the best. Nick Gwizdowski has been the best, not just in this conference, but on the national front. He'll be looking for his 3rd ACC title with the hopes of catapulting that to his 3rd consecutive national championship. An electrifying atmosphere here in Charlottesville as Virginia Tech and North Carolina State get set to square off the first of 5 head-to-head battles here in the championship round, and it all starts at 125 pounds. Gerard "The Rock" Harrison, Tim Foley, Sean Kinney with you as we get set to launch our championship coverage on this Sunday night. A good look at Joey Dance, the defending ACC champion, ranked number 3 in the country, taking on a good-looking youngster for Pat Papalizio and North Carolina State, and Sean Foz. Foz, a redshirt freshman at 17-8 on the season.
Yeah, Foz looked really impressive in the semifinal matchups, and I'm going to be surprised if he doesn't give Dance a little bit of a headache. He's got a really similar body type to Herman from Virginia, who gave Dance a very close semifinal match.
Dance won the semifinal out over Herman by a score of 5-3, while Foz was able to take care of L.J. Bentley of Pittsburgh by a 2-point decision, 4-2. So the two meet here in the finals at 125. We mentioned Dance as a 2-time NCAA qualifier, the defending ACC champion. He was an All-American 2 years ago, had a tough run at the NCAA tournament last season, going 2-2 and just missing out in the round of 12. Tremendous talent from Christiansburg, Virginia, which is of great familiarity for Hokie fans. That's where they found Kevin Dresser and the job he has done with Virginia Tech.
Absolutely fantastic job. And you'll notice right already off the whistle, Dance is trying to control a little bit of the tempo, trying to get Foz to reach over a little bit, get over his skis, snapping his head, and trying to find some short offense opportunities. You know, Foz has probably dealt his whole life with wrestling shorter wrestlers. Dance, especially at 125 at the NCAA level, really hasn't focused on anybody who's this height, 5'7", 5'8". That's really difficult for a smaller wrestler to sort of get acquainted to at the last minute. Great reach in, right side, high crotch, outside leg finish. Here's where Foz really has done well to defend in previous rounds.
Let's see if Foz can fend off the All-American in Dance. Joey Dance with the first real offensive threat in this opening period. Now can he seal it for 2? What's Foz looking to do here to try to stay safe?
He's going to control Dance's right hand to make sure that he can't come up to his knee. Also, Dance is going to be trying to look to posture up and bring Foz up. Of course, it didn't work.
Stalemate called, back to a fresh start in the center. Inside a minute to go, first period. First of 10 championships here in the 2016 ACC tournament. Dance comes up empty. Foz not quite ready to react and recover on a shot of his own.
Dance is trying to get Foz to push in a little bit so that he can get that boot scoot. A little bit of a duck right to that right-hand reach side. Foz in on the right-hand side. He's got to lock his hands. Got a weird position on the calf. He wants to get his hands locked. It's short time, 15 seconds. Doesn't want Dance to be able to do that short offense. Foz is getting bunched up. Dance doing a really good job of grabbing the back ankle and controlling Foz's momentum forward.
So the first period will wind down, no score. And if you're Sean Foz, I imagine that's a victory won. Remember, he lost the Dance during the dual portion of the season 7-1.
Yeah, that's a lot of takedowns no matter what happens. And Foz looks like he's improved his top game a little bit. He's going to want to explode out here and then limit the. He really wants to try to limit the damage when he's on his in neutral, when he's on his feet.
Foz will start in the down position as we begin period number 2. The redshirt freshman out of Alexandria, Kentucky, Campbell County High School. He was a 3-time National High School All-American, Kentucky State champion, a young man who has a lot of international experience considering his young age. Trying to get up to his feet, and he gets away, and the Wolfpack youngster with the opening salvo in this second period.
Yeah, he kind of tucked his head and got hand control before he stood up. Deliberate and effective. Foz has got to be a little bit careful here, pushing in Dance. Dance is looking for that duck to his left side. And if he can't get the duck, he'll also reach his right arm across and look for the knee pull.
Two wrestlers engage in this second period, a minute 10 to go in the period. The escape by Foz has been in. So collar tie applied. Foz, who has the escape, now shoots in. Dance is able to defend it, and the two wrestlers disengage.
Yeah, I feel like they're going about 90% on most of these shots. Really nice low single there by Joey Dance. He's got to finish through the legs. He's going to try to get to his side and control that bottom leg, step over it. And that'll be a little bit of an issue for Foz because of his length.
So the second time that Dance has been deep. Let's see if the second time is the charm for Joey Dance as he looks to grab his first 2 points of the match.
Foz is going to transition to that near leg here soon, try to roll back over it.
And Dance gets the 2 to the approval of the large contingency from Blacksburg with us.
Foz has got to get his ankles back up to his body if he doesn't want Dance to get this short leg. With 10 seconds left, it's going to be pretty tough for Foz to create the action he needs to get free.
Joey Dance content to hold position, and it will be Dance going into the third period with the 2-1 lead.
Watch for Foz off the whistle to come underneath and get Dance extended. Doesn't want Dance to be able to ball up too much.
Dance, one of 4 returning All-Americans wrestling today for Virginia Tech. Underneath as Foz will try to go to work.
Foz is very long, and it's going to be tough for Dance if he doesn't do a little bit more to get out here.
See that inner thigh grip by Foz. Are you surprised he's not trying to slap in a leg? Dance gets up to his feet, tries that roll, but Foz stays with him.
I think that Foz is trying to bait him into some rolling. I think he does want to get that leg in. He likes having it in, but
the activity of Dance, and he gets the escape, and Joey Dance up 3-1. Minute 23 to go in the title bout at 125.
Head slap left. Outside single right attempt by Foz. Comes up a little short. Dance is going to want to get active here. Else going to get stalemated.
Eric Epperman, our official, with the stalemate there. So the wrestlers go back into the center. 3-1, Joey Dance, Virginia Tech, looking for his second straight ACC title, 53 seconds away. Been a tough battle with the freshman from the state of Kentucky, though, Sean Foss. Part of the bright future for North Carolina State. Wolfpack had such a strong recruiting class last year as Dance whips him over for 2.
Beautiful.
And that might seal it for the Hokies.
Really good job by Dance to get Foss driven over to his hip. He'd been waiting around there, I was kind of wondering what he was up to. Waited for Foss to pick up his head, drove him right, came back left.
Joey Dance with the 5-1 lead. Clock winding down. We're inside 10 seconds to go. A big part of the success through the years in Blacksburg has been that Christiansburg connection. And for the second straight year, Joey Dance is your ACC champion at 125 pounds.
Great performance, and that pulls him even with NC State.
We mentioned starting the championship round, North Carolina State with that slim 3-point lead. As Tim just mentioned, that was wiped out in these head-to-head battles, and we'll have 4 more head-to-head collisions between these two teams at 141, 157, 84, and then the 85-pound bracket. As we take a look ahead, 133 pounds, championship George DiCamillo of Virginia getting set to take on Dom Fories of Pitt. So the seeds hold true to form here, Tim, with DiCamillo and Fories. And Dom Fories was a guy that we watched earlier today. We saw him handle Dennis Gustafson of Virginia Tech in the semifinals. Really convincing fashion, winning by major decision.
He looked amazing. George DiCamillo was down by more than a touchdown on his side over on Matsu, and really battled back for that really tight decision in the semifinals, 14-13. But he was down 11-2, 11-3, basically off of tilts, which Forsey wasn't completing on his side. He's more of a neutral focused wrestler.
Fories with the 2-on-1 just underway in this first period. You see DiCamillo working from his knees. Now he's into the stand-up, but he goes right back down to both knees for a moment. Drives in on that high crotch possibly.
Nice left side attack, gets his right leg over. He's got to keep backing out. He doesn't want Forsey to get the angle. Rolls. Forsey gets the funk, and George tried to get in front of it, but fell just behind. And they've essentially switched positions. DiCamillo pulls out with a 2-on-1, makes a fake shot, and we got back to our feet. Good little scramble to start the match.
DiCamillo, one of those guys who seems like he has been around for a while here in Charlottesville just because of the type of success he has enjoyed. Top 15 all-time in Virginia wins in his junior campaign out of Highland Heights, Ohio. 2-time ACC champ, won it last year, and then he also captured the title back in 2013, also a 2-time NCAA qualifier. Minute 45 here in the first period. No score with the Cavalier and the Panther.
Forsey's left outside single wasn't set up as well as he was doing in the quarterfinals. The semifinals against Gustafson. And he'll need to get a little bit better penetration against DiCamillo, who's a little bit quicker on his reactions. Gustafson, of course, was a little bit injured in their semifinal match and didn't quite have the mobility that we're seeing with DiCamillo.
DiCamillo used his red shirt back in 2014 after a serious injury, cost him to miss the year. But as we mentioned, he came back with a vengeance last year, part of Steve Garland's ACC Championship Cavalier squad. A big reason why they were able to stun the conference last year in Pittsburgh.
Might be one of the best setups we've seen all day today. Even if he doesn't score it, that should get emotional points. It was a 2-on-1 that he dropped into on a low single. He's finishing it very, very well.
He's going to want to drag Fories back in.
He'll want to control the inevitable funk that's coming when he goes to pitch his leg towards Forsey's ankle.
He's got plenty of time looking for the trip, and Fories able to defend it off again.
Reach up to the head, That's okay to split your hands. As long as you've got your elbow down on the mat, he can split his hands. He's pretty good, in a good position. Looking for that cradle. Now for the backside. Forsey's very flexible. Reminds of, Penn State's Nico Megaludis. He's on his hip now, so it should be a little bit easier for DiCamillo to finish. 5 seconds, though. Running out of time.
Boy, this is a big moral victory, you got to believe, for Dom Forrest. He was in some serious trouble there, and he was able to fend it off.
Yeah, that's a goofy hip bone he's got. And it's unfortunate because DiCamillo's little 2-on-1 ankle block to the low ankle was one of the nicer setups we've seen today.
Flip of the disc comes up green. It will be Forrest and his decision, and he wants to start the second period down. No score in the title at 133 pounds. We've already seen one repeat champion.
Fans are reacting to the house lights coming on. They were frustrated by the single light in the stadium.
So the official explaining to the two wrestlers, take a quick breath here, regroup, explaining why the delay, and now we'll get back into the action here in the second period. Let's see what DiCamillo can do in the top spot. No score with Dom Forrest of Pitt.
DiCamillo prides himself as being a tough top wrestler, not just in riding, but in getting turns. He's going to look for that opposite side wrist. And he's going to look to bring that elbow down, and that's what he's done already. He's looking for a cross-side tilt, and in the process that he's going to get his ride, but he's really looking to get that wrist across and tucked into Forsey's hip.
Quick stand up by Forrest, but DiCamillo, again, so tough on top, brings him right back down.
Forrest has got the opportunity to get out. He's just not getting his bottom knee quite slid underneath. Coming into DiCamillo would actually be a good idea as opposed to going away, pressuring back into him. Give him a better opportunity to stand up here. DiCamillo is actually looking for an old ball and chain tilt as well.
Yeah, you see that arm trying to get connected in between the legs of Forrest for the ball and chain. The stalling call hit on Forrest underneath as the wrestlers go tumbling out of bounds. No score in this second period. Dom Forrest, third last year at the ACC Championships, an NCAA qualifier who went 0-2 in St. Louis. Already 42 career wins, just his second year on campus competing, the North Allegheny product out of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, part of a very young crop of wrestlers for head coach Jason Peters and the Panthers. Stand-up attempt, and there's the escape. So Forrest gets away. And a 1-0 lead for Pitt.
Outside left single, a little bit more successful than it was in the first period. DiCamillo staying on top, but he's got to watch that back leg. I think Forrest has done a really good job of providing the pressure necessary to get the two. Lands the two. Pretty quick call.
Forrest gets the takedown. DiCamillo gets the quick escape. And a stalling call
stalling
there
call
on Forrest on
That's
the edge
1
of the
point.
mat. So that'll be a point for DiCamillo, and that's one of the rule changes that we talked about earlier today. Here comes a contest from the Pitt corner, but on those out-of-bounds sequences where a wrestler is either pushed out or steps out, the official this year can now call a stalling on that to try to keep the action offensive in nature and more on the mat, and they're going to say that Forrest stepped off there. It was not an act of wrestling, and thus the stalling call, and since it was the second stall call, a point.
That's a big point.
For DiCamillo. 3-2, Dom Forrest.
He's going right back to it, and he should, because DiCamillo's not sure what happened there.
Well, it looked like he gave up on it.
Yeah. I wonder if he's okay. Maybe something happened with his shoulder. Kind of split his hands pretty quickly there. And with short time especially, that was a little bit of a strategic error on Forrest's part.
Second period will come to an end. 4-3, DiCamillo with the lead.
And Coach Peters just asked him, he said, what happened? Are you okay? Yeah, it looks like his left shoulder might be bothering him just a little bit.
Jason Peters from the Pitt corner telling his young wrestler, don't worry about that riding time. Right now, DiCamillo with a minute 20 of riding time. It's all about scoring points and staying aggressive in the top position. Third period, a 1-point lead and a tight battle between Virginia and Pitt. DiCamillo's away and he gets the escape.
Before he's going to come strong to that left side again. As soon as he gets that right wrist free and they pop back up, he's going to attack. Good counterattack by DiCamillo. He's going right up for that cradle, which wasn't successful early, so just needs to keep driving around. See how he keeps that arm low to try to avoid the wizard, but it's not doing himself any favors because Forsey obviously can do the splits.
Trying to hook up that near side cradle, gives up on that, wraps around the waist. He'll try to seal the two, and he does.
Right to the double.
Chain set of wrestling there by the ACC champion, George DiCamillo.
Yeah, George DiCamillo did a really good job there figuring out, look, the single leg's not going to happen for me right now. Let's switch off to the double, more powerful finish, and maybe some more success.
Going to be tough sledding now for Forys to try to get back into it. Running out of time, inside a minute to go in the third period. And DiCamillo with the riding time, leading by that comfortable 5-point margin. Forys hasn't been able to get much going underneath. Needs to try to get to his feet. But DiCamillo continues to ride very hard. Here's an escape by Forys. So a 7-4 score. Again, riding time with Virginia in the red ankle band. 22 seconds to go. Forys trying to find any type of crack, crevice, but it's tough to do against caliber guy like George DiCamillo. Forys continuing to stalk. DiCamillo continuing to avoid. Still engaged as he circles back in, and Virginia with an ACC champion. He is a 3-time champion for the Cavaliers, George DiCamillo, 2013, 2015, and now the latest to his resume here in 2016 in front of the home fan base here in Charlottesville.
Yeah, impressive by George DiCamillo. This is the kind of energy he wants to bring into the next phase of his career, which is the NCAA wrestling tournament, 2 weeks in Madison Square Garden.
Turn our attention over to the championship podium. 125-pound award winners. That's becoming a familiar sight. Joey Dance at 125 for Virginia Tech. Your ACC champion at 125 pounds. Joey Dance able to beat Sean Foz of North Carolina State, and Dance gets ready to take his act, both he and Foz both, to the Big Apple in New York City in less than 2 weeks. Let's go back to the podium. Gerard Rock Harrison with the champ.
ACC champion Joey Dance. Joey, congratulations. Tell me, Joey, what have you done this year to be as dominant as you've been this year?
Really just kind of pushed the pace more on my offense. Even from 2 weeks ago, I've really pushed the pace a lot more. I don't know if you noticed, I've been doing a lot more on my feet, been moving a lot more. I just feel light on my feet. I feel great right now going into the national tournament, so that's definitely a big thing for me.
Now, Joey, I know that you don't just want to be an All-American. You want to be a national champion. What are you going to do this year to be a national champion?
Just what I've been doing right now, especially at this tournament, just pushing the pace, pushing my offense. My best defense is my offense. So, just keep pushing the pace. That way I'll get takedowns with some of the top-notch guys. Whenever I'm moving and I'm getting pressure towards me, I can take down anyone in the country.
Great. Here we are, 2-time ACC champion Joey Dance.
All right, thank you very much, Rock, and congratulations to Virginia Tech's Joey Dance, your champion at 125 pounds, as we take a look at the 141-pound weight division. Kevin Jack, North Carolina State, Solomon Chisco, Virginia Tech. Here we go, round 2 with the two giants as far as the team race goes in the ACC this year.
It's a great story, especially when they keep running into each other. Kevin Jack here is probably pretty well favored. And it just depends on if he's able to get to his attacks, but also how he performs once he's on top. There's a certain body type that seems to prevail here with NC State. You don't see a lot of teams with lanky wrestlers who aren't not saying they're not muscular, but I've seen people with more muscles.
Kevin Jack for North Carolina State let everybody know in the country who he is last year, who he was. The All-American, entered the national tournament unseeded. Went 4-2 to become North Carolina State's first freshman All-American since 1991. His loss was to the 4-time champion Logan Stieber of Ohio State. But what a tournament run for Jack, the Danbury, Connecticut native.
Yeah, again, that's another thing. Danbury, Connecticut's not somewhere you see a lot of top-level wrestlers coming out of, but I mean, there's something that Coach Poplizzo is looking for, and I think he's finding it in some of these wrestlers.
Mentioned the state of Connecticut as Jack shoots in. Ended off by Chisco. Now Jack a second time, but there's Chisco again. Solomon Chisco's just a youngster. He's a freshman. Jeanette, Pennsylvania. Some big shoes to fill for Virginia Tech, trying to replace Devin Carter, the only Hokie to make it into the national championship battle last year, losing to Logan Stieber, the aforementioned Stieber, in the title bout. Carter was a bonus point machine in his days in Blacksburg. Mentioned Virginia Tech winning the ACC title in both 2013 and 2014, and a lot of that because of the bonus points from Carter.
You know, Carter last year came back off of a terrible knee injury to not just perform well at the ACC tournament, but also at the NCAA tournament.
Inside a minute to go in this first period. Both wrestlers still kind of feeling each other out. No score.
Long sweeping outside right side single. Kevin Jack kind of gets away with that a lot of times because he's about 6 foot tall, but Chisco seems prepared for it, doing a little bit of extra work here in short offense with 20 seconds to go. Jack may find success with that, but he's got to be a little bit closer. Chisco also needs to work a little bit on trying to open up Jack going up and coming back down.
One of the plugs in Jack's nostril came undone there, so they'll take it to the corner. Jack ranked 3rd in the country entering this tournament today. He won't catch anybody off guard this year at Nationals. What a season, and he's only a sophomore. Part of that heralded class last year for North Carolina State, Pat Popolizio. And the job he's done in Raleigh as the first period comes to an end, no score.
It'll be interesting to see what Chisco chooses. He needs to defer this round, but Kevin Jack can be a real pain when he's on top.
So it will be Chisco on top to start the second period. Led the Virginia Tech team this year and wins with 26. Jack from the bottom trying to communicate with the official that he can't do much with that wrist tied up. Chisco gives up on the wrist. That allows Jack to get some separation. He'll get up to his feet and get away for the point. Kevin Jack of North Carolina State with the escape. Chisco only able to ride for 29 seconds. Mentioned the head-to-head battles with North Carolina State and Virginia Tech.
Again, that long sweeping right-hand signal is just not really kind of working for him. And now Coach Pat Popolizio is looking for a stall call on Jack's behalf. But they're not threatening shots, and it's a little difficult, although Chisco hasn't taken a full committed shot this entire time, so he may have a point.
It was a 1-point decision when these two wrestlers met on February 12th.
And there it is. He got his first stall call. That's a big, you know, you're talking about a 1-0 match. That can really be a deciding factor, especially when you start playing the out-of-bounds game.
Kevin Dresser in the corner for Virginia Tech, watching anxiously, knowing what's at stake here with the team title and the Wolfpack and Hokies. 25 seconds to go in the period. 1-0 Jack with the lead, plus the stall call on Chisco as well.
And the thing is, Chisco's coiling up, but he's not. He's lowering his level. It looks like he's going to attack, but he hasn't really made any good, solid attacks. That's his second forward motion attack, and he didn't even extend his hands. So the referees are more than capable of calling him again in the third period if he doesn't do something.
Kevin Dresser in his 10th year at Virginia Tech. Back-to-back ACC dual meet titles. He's led Virginia Tech to a pair of ACC championships. 14 All-Americans through the years, and he has a certain fleet this year that could add to that tally as well. Chisco to start in the down position in the third period. A caution as Jack was a little bit too anxious.
Be interesting to see how Chisco deals a little bit with Jack's length here on top.
Quick stand up by Chisco. Jack driving around the waist, and the two go out of bounds for a start in the center. Anticipate that same type of spring up action from Chisco again here on the whistle?
I think so, but you know, Jack looks really confident in dealing with that. He just kind of goes to that high crotch side and waits to sort of transition back to the mat. I'm surprised Chisco comes back into him as opposed to away from him. A little bit more pressure. Yeah, a little bit more pressure back into him.
And he'll turn and get away, so we start over in this third period. The one thing to keep in mind is that stalling call that still looms a shadow over Solomon Chisco in this third period.
Kevin Jack's got to be careful here on the edge for a makeup call. If he backs out and doesn't continue to wrestle, referees are more than willing to make that call. Very good job getting his butt to the center. That right sweeping outside, and there it goes for first takedown of the match.
Boy, he had tried time and time again, and finally that long wingspan found a hook.
His setups don't require much, I suppose, but his finishes, that was crisp, it was solid, and it was strong.
Quick stand up by Chisco. Jack drops down to the two legs, needs to elevate his position, and he does as he reassumes control.
Does a great job of pressuring forward once he's on a leg. It's really impressive.
Has that deep waist on the right side. Jack so tough on top for North Carolina State. However, Chisco gets up to his feet. Jack brings him right back down there at the feet of Papalizio as the two go back to the center. Inside a minute to go, North Carolina State trying to go back out in front in what should be a seesaw affair all night long.
Chisco's got to make something happen here, because it's not just the fact that he needs to get out. He's got to create some action against Jack, and it has not happened so far this match.
Jack trying to trap down to the ankle, but Chisco gets away. 3-2, riding time not a factor, so can Chisco dial up a takedown here in the final 40 seconds?
Got to see an attack. I'm not sure what attack he's looking for, but he's got to find one. Jack's got to be a little careful about disengaging. That might be something they're going to call him for stalling.
And there is the stall call, first time on Jack. Chisco down on a leg. Chisco with control of the right leg, but can he turn it into two here for Virginia Tech?
Jack's going to want to grab that solid outside hand. He's got that trick knee, but he's got to be really careful.
Chisco on the edge. No points awarded
No points
yet.
quite yet.
Match down to 10 seconds. Now Jack reaffirms his position. This is a clock eater. Chisco caught spread out here. Not much he can do. And North Carolina State gets the victory.
And they're going to go ahead and challenge that. Earlier in that sequence, about 15 seconds, Chisco's original shot. You saw Kevin Jack slipped out his left hand. I don't think Kevin Dresser saw that, and they're going to want to go ahead and review it. It's a freebie at this point. We don't know how many they've used, but
let's take another look.
That's same swooping outside shot. This time a nice little reshot by Chisco. Jack's really depending on that knee, on his trick knee. What he really needed to do is stop that right hand. Wasn't able to go ahead and stop that right hand. Thought he was free and clear. Chisco shot again. I'm sorry, rather Jack came underneath. And right there is where they're going to say there was two, but you can see pretty clearly that Jack's left arm was out, and there won't be overruled.
Challenge coming from the Virginia Tech corner. Each team was given 3 challenges to start the day. Those challenges need to last you all morning, afternoon, and now into the championship round. And they take a closer look over at the scores table to determine the outcome, but we both feel this should go to Kevin Jack of North Carolina State. And it is a Wolfpack ACC championship, the first of the young career for Kevin Jack. The sophomore wins by a point, 3-2, and he propels North Carolina State back on top here in the team race.
Excellent job by Jack. Hit those long arms on those swooping outside singles was definitely able to do it for him.
Updated look at the standings. The Wolfpack back out in front with 81. Virginia Tech now with the 78.5 points. And again, they still have 3 more head-to-head battles coming up. So we go back to the podium and the championship stand and the announcements for 133.
Right?
George DiCamillo capturing his 3rd ACC championship. Young man, just a junior. He'll look for number 4 next year in a hard-fought 8-4 win over Dom Fories of Pitt in the championship earlier tonight. So DiCamillo and the Cavaliers, not the type of team success that they enjoyed last year winning this title, but still a lot of talent, and DiCamillo one of the main guys in Steve Garland's wrestling room. Let's go join Rock Harrison. He's with the Cavalier champion.
I'm now here with 3-time ACC champion George DiCamillo. George, you've been a rock of consistency for the Cavaliers throughout the year, and I know you want to be a national champion. What are you doing to stay so constant and winning these tough matches?
It's all mindset. Adversity's hit my way plenty of times this year. I think just staying the process, looking to be a continual learner, one who's worried about growth and not a fixed outcome. I think that's what I got to do to make the next jump to be a national champ.
Congratulations. We were 3-time ACC champion George DiCamillo. Back to you all.
Thank you very much, Rock. And from one rock to another there, Gerard Rock Harrison using the word rock for DiCamillo, but that's how he wrestles. He's one of those guys. Every night you know what he's going to give you.
Completely dependable. Got a nice, good style. He's got a nice style. He's not going over top. He's not going over top too often. He's good, solid defense, and you saw that really paid off this last match.
£149, Evan Henderson of North Carolina, Mitch Feinsilver of Duke for the title of 49.
Feinsilver looked really good in his semifinal match against Sal Mastriani.
There's a shot by Feinsilver in on the All-American Henderson.
Henderson's got that left leg kind of, okay. They now switch positions here. Evan Henderson's going to score a takedown here off the end of that scramble.
Henderson gets the takedown. North Carolina looks like Fine-Silver lost to contact, so he'll give that off into the Duke corner. Evan Henderson, three-time NCAA qualifier. He has been a pinner in his years in Chapel Hill. He's a two-time All-American, was fourth 2 years ago in 2014, took sixth in 2013. He's never been to Manhattan, though, in his life, and that's going to change in a couple of weeks. And he's going to have company with him, Tim. We saw earlier today in the consolation round his twin brother Robert getting ready to make his first appearance at Nationals as he won the third-place bout to get his guaranteed ticket. So quite a day for the Hendersons, and it can be capped off with an ACC title here at 49.
Yeah, it seemed like a special day for their family, and you got to be excited for them and for their parents. Henderson's kind of just brutal on top, and this is what makes him so effective at the NCAA level. He doesn't make a ton of mistakes when he's on top. He doesn't get too high. He gets turns, and that really kind of builds a cushion in him. For him, so even when he gets into scramble positions on his feet, he has a little bit more of a cushion built in.
See Henderson with the cross face for a moment. Stalling call underneath on Fine-Silver.
Got a nice little cross face there that he worked, and it's all about kind of breaking your opponent's opposite hip when you get into that single leg situation, and Evan Henderson does a pretty good job of that. Part of that's also getting that opposite side elbow broken down. Henderson's doing pretty good work to look for it. Doesn't seem like the referees have any problem with it. Only 5 seconds left in the period.
So the takedown by Henderson, the only offense, and Evan Henderson with a 2-0 lead. On Mitch Fine-Silver of Duke. Good look at Fine-Silver, Greenwood Village, Colorado, Cherry Creek High School, ranked 9th in the country. Bumped up a couple of weight classes this year. He was only one of 8 unbeaten ACC dual wrestlers starting today, trying to keep that perfect here against a tough customer in Evan Henderson.
Fine-Silver's no slouch on the top either. And, Henderson looked at Coach Coleman Scott and was like, is this something I want to do? And he's like, yeah, you got it. And I wonder if right now they're wondering. Oh, there you go.
Henderson gets away for the escape, so a 3-0 lead. This match has genealogical ties as well. Both athletes that you see out on the mat with twin brothers who are part of the program. We talked about Henderson with his twin brother Robert, and then with Mitch Fine-Silver and his brother Zach, part of the Duke program. 3-0, Henderson of North Carolina with the lead in this second period.
Fine-Silver looking to strike here pretty soon. He's got to clear the ties a little bit more, but there he is on a nice little outside. Actually, it was a nice little high crotch. It was just a little bit too low. Again, once he places this on his opposite side hip, he's going to want to make sure that he doesn't get into a bad wizard position. That's a solid finish, though, for Fine-Silver.
Fine-Silver on the board.
And this is the position where Fine-Silver wants to be. When he traps that leg, he's really dangerous, and Henderson has to be careful. He can't get lazy even for a second. Tough spot for Henderson to be in right now. Fine-Silver's in really basically perfect riding position. Because he's perpendicular, there's really nothing you can call on him.
Yeah, has that cross ride, perpendicular angle to it. So Henderson getting forced down, forehead to the mat, belly button down, and the second period winds down to a 1-point lead for Evan Henderson.
Feinsilver took neutral. I think he feels pretty confident in those low-level attacks. What he really needs to do is avoid any kind of scrambles like he did last time. But same shot, wow. Telegraphed it a little bit, and Henderson was just right on point. He didn't even really down block. He just went around. Really nicely done by Henderson.
Saw Coleman Scott, the first-year coach for North Carolina, assistant for C.D. Mock the past few years in the corner for the Tar Heels, liking what he has seen from Evan Henderson. 5-2 lead for Henderson. Henderson utilized his red shirt last year as he competed primarily in freestyle events, won the 65-kilo title at the ACC University Nationals. He was runner-up at the prestigious Bill Farrell International competition over in Turkey last year as well, so spent some time on the international circuit. Back for his senior year at Chapel Hill, the new Florence product. Just had a minute to go. Feinsilver's up on his feet, then tried to roll, but Henderson stays with it, but not for long. Feinsilver slips away.
Feinsilver's going to need 2 takedowns here now that riding time's locked up, 5-3, make that effectively 6-3. So if he does that, he's going to have to score quick, cut quick, and start attacking again. Here's that action from before. He just telegraphed it a little bit too much. His head was down, and Henderson was able to make the quick transition to the side. Again, same exact position. His head got too far inside. He's got to put his head on the outside if he wants to have a way to block Henderson's attack. But basically, he's diving in. He's going from the 3rd level to the 1st level. What he needed to do was attack at the 1st level with his head up.
North Carolina's Evan Henderson with 5 seconds to go in the match, and it will be a Tar Heel ACC champ at 149. He started the year the preseason #1 in some publications at 141. Big handshake for his rival from Duke and Mitch Feinsilver, and a ACC title for Evan Henderson as he gets ready for his first trip to New York City.
Yeah, first trip. Come visit. I'm in Manhattan, Denizen.
Just a couple blocks away,
Just a
aren't you?
couple blocks away. Have him over. We can watch some TV.
Let's go back to the podium. The announcements and the honors and the awards for 141 pounds. For the first time in his young career, Kevin Jack atop the podium. 2 good young wrestlers in that 141-pound weight class. Let's go over to Rock. He's with the champion from North Carolina State.
I'm here with Kevin Jack, now an ACC champion. Kevin, you all have had a tough season when wrestling in Oklahoma State, Iowa, at the Midlands. Tell me, what have you done this year to not get worn down by the grind of the season?
I think just between me and the coaches, we have a plan every week, so we either take a practice off where we need to, or we slow down one practice, or do what we need to do to keep our body rested. We're ready to go.
Here with Kevin Jack, NC State ACC champion. Back to you guys.
Thank you very much, Rock, and congratulations to the young wrestler for North Carolina State. We talked about the impact he made last year at the Nationals, and he certainly has kept that momentum rolling forward this season, and now he has even bigger dreams of going even deeper at the national tournament. Speaking of North Carolina State, Virginia Tech, here we go, round 3, 3 of 5 head-to-heads. It is Nick Brissetta, Virginia Tech, Tommy Gant of North Carolina State. Gant has been dynamite this year, unbeaten, 23-0. The redshirt senior coming back strong off that redshirt year. And you talk about improvement. He was solid before, but he has just taken it to a whole new level this year.
I mean, it's incredible. I mean, he went from a top 20 wrestler to a top 5 wrestler, and that was a redshirt year. It was a year of coaching by the skip, and now he's in a position where he can, at least compete around a national title. It's a very tough weight class at the national level with Jason Nolf at Penn State and Isaiah Martinez at Illinois.
Stalemate, not quite a minute into the first period, no score. Could not have scripted the drama any better with the number of head-to-head collisions that we are enjoying here tonight between these two teams. North Carolina State with the narrow lead on Virginia Tech. Gant, in fact, is one of 14 Division I wrestlers undefeated heading into the conference tournaments today. 8 conference qualifiers across the country. The Pac-12 held theirs last week. The other 7 taking place this weekend.
Yeah, I suppose we really haven't seen what Gant's. I mean, we say that, it's difficult for him to compete with Nolf and Martinez, and maybe subjectively you can say that, but objectively, if he's undefeated coming into the tournament, there's nothing to say he can't pull off one of those types of wins.
Gant was 9-0 against ranked opponents this year, 3 by bonus. He was North Carolina State's first Midlands champion this season at 157.
This is a little bit closer to what you want to see with a guy when he pulls a 2-on-1. He's able to kind of move Bracetta around, also make Bracetta try to react to his positioning. Bracetta pulls him down. He goes in for that high crotch. Now he's in a little bit more of a tough position with Bracetta on an overlock head and arm. Short offense position. This underhook is where we saw Bracetta score against Atkinson in the early and late in the semifinal match. So he'll get that deep underhook. He'll go knee tap. Didn't really try to execute it there against Gant, but maybe didn't feel the pressure. Gant with a little try to shuck by to the single.
See Bracetta's left leg pop out, looking for a trip. Nothing there. In the first period will come to an end. No score. Tommy Gant and Nick Bracetta. And if you would look at the 10 championship bouts, I know a lot of people had this one tabbed as maybe one of the top bouts, and 2 very accomplished wrestlers. Bracetta looking for his 4th ACC title. Tommy Gant standing in his way behind that powerful regular season, ranked 4th in the country.
Yeah, I mean, we're looking at one of the more pivotal of the matchups, of these head-to-head matchups. This is one of the more pivotal. These are 2 leaders on their program.
There's the escape by Bracetta. Drops in on a single for a moment, but Gant's able to rip the leg free. And a 1-0 lead for Nick Bracetta of Virginia Tech.
Gant has clean techniques, but he also hits him full power. He doesn't limp into anything. He used his head and he kicked out free there, but he didn't wait around. He didn't think he was going to bring it to the mat first. It's impressive wrestling by Gant. Little overhook trip right into a shot. Got to get, at this point, with this much action, Bracetta's either got to keep the pace or he's going to get him dinged for stalling, which the coaches seem to be asking for as well.
He was looking for that throw on the overhook, and the wrestling carries out of bounds.
So what he's looking to do is overhook whip and make Bracetta overcorrect. And when Bracetta overcorrects, he can hit his high crotch to the opposite side. So he's going to keep going back to it until Bracetta just gives him the kind of response that he wants.
Three-time ACC champion with an escape. In the gray singlet for Virginia Tech and a 1-0 lead. Halfway through period number 2. Stalling call hit on Bracetta.
For an underhook. Now this time he's going to stand up. He's going to try the same overhook. Bracetta went near side. I'm thinking Gant's going to give that up now that Bracetta's basing down so hard and not overreacting at all. But he got what he needed too. He got a stall call, which could be important coming into the third period.
Oh, look at the double leg and the power by Gant as he drives ahead with authority and grabs his first lead.
Really well-timed shot. He got Bracetta coming up out of a fake. Pretty easy.
No hesitation in the Wolfpack corner. They know that it's Gant's choice to start down in the third period.
Got Bracetta to reach right there on the double leg, and there's really no funking out of that. You've seen a lot of spaghetti wrestling today, but you're not going to get out of a double leg.
So Gant with the lead into a stand-up, and Bracetta is forced to cut him. 3-1, Tommy Gant, 3 unanswered for the Wolfpack.
You know, this knee injury seems to be obviously limiting for Bracetta in his level changes. And we're going to see if any of his high-level attacks are going to work against Gant. Gant needs to stay away from that overhook tie. That's actually giving Bracetta what he needs, which is a closing of the distance and position in the underhook to grab that near side single.
Nick Bracetta, 4th place finisher at the national tournament last year. You mentioned the knee injury cost him a couple of months this season. 2nd straight year that he's been plagued by injuries. Last year, it was the elbow that bugged the St. Paris, Ohio native. He's never had a problem, though, finding that postseason mojo for Virginia Tech the past couple of years. He's going to need some of that same type of magic in the closing seconds to try to derail Tommy Gant, who was on quite a roll this season.
Yeah, he's going to need to try a way to open up Gant, close the distance, and take a clean shot. But with that hurt knee, it doesn't look like it's an option for him right now.
30 seconds and winding. Riding time is not a factor. Bracetta needs to. Gant fires in.
That was sort of a strategic error on Gant's part. He was doing fine on his feet. He hadn't been called for stalling, and he kind of dove in on a single. That's something you would do if you were in a little bit tight of a match with the guy who's going to shoot in on you, but not in this case. Gant's got to be careful. He's going to get hit for stalling as well.
Down to 6, down to 5. Tommy Gant looking for his first ACC title, and the Wolfpack get the victory at 157 pounds. Tommy Gant was denied the ACC title, losing in a tight battle a couple of years ago in 2014. He wins a tight one tonight, remains perfect, and creates a little bit of separation, not much, but a little, between their rivals from Virginia Tech. Let's go back to the podium and the announcements at 1:49. Good look at the place winners at 149 pounds. Evan Henderson of North Carolina, your ACC champion. Fine silver from Duke, the runner-up in that weight division. See some of the folks who have made the trip from Chapel Hill enjoying the scenery with Henderson atop the podium this year. Let's go back to the podium. Brock is with the champion from North Carolina.
I'm here with 2-time All-American and ACC champion Evan Henderson. Evan, you moved up from 141 to 149. How are you feeling physically as you prep for nationals?
Feel just as strong, and like it's no different. Like I didn't skip the beat.
Well, what are you going to do this year to win the Nationals?
Kick everybody's butt.
That's two-time All-American and ACC champion Evan Anderson. Back to you guys.
Well, he's one of those guys that can certainly do it. He can back up the talk. Our championship coverage continues from Charlottesville after this break. Coverage of the 62nd Annual ACC Wrestling Championships here at John Paul Jones Arena in Charlottesville, North Carolina State, with back-to-back victories, and the Wolfpack now with a 5.5-point advantage over Virginia Tech, as NC State, who began today, ranked number 2, the Hokies ranked number 3, both programs fresh off national dual victories, and now we move into the 165-pound championship. It is North Carolina State and North Carolina. John Michael Stoudemire for the Tar Heels, taking on Max Roscoff for North Carolina State. Roscoff in the red and gray. The Tar Heel blue for Stoudemire, the veteran, ranked number 11 in the country. Roscoff ranked 6th, 14-2, a 7-0 semifinal win over David McFadden earlier today.
Roscoff coming out with a very odd overhook, like he was basically like he was wrestling a Greco match, either baiting Stoudemire to shoot, or he legitimately wanted to throw him off of the whistle.
Roscoff, an NCAA qualifier last year, went 1-2 at the national tournament in St. Louis. He's perfect 5-0 in ACC duels this season. Think about Roscoff. You look at his body of work this year, he hasn't quite wrestled enough matches to be ranked in the RPI that we were talking about earlier, but only losses this season twice to Kyle Crutchmer of Oklahoma State and also Daniel Lewis of Missouri.
And Crutchmer's out for the year.
Yep. Roscoff hasn't wrestled as many bouts as he'd like because of an injury that cost him about a month of the season from early December up through the new year. He's come back strong, though, and here he is, the top seed in this weight class, a weight class that sends 5 on to New York, one of 2 weight divisions for the ACC that will send 5, 197 the other one.
A lot of upper body ties, not a lot of level changes quite yet. He's reaching deep for that overhook, and he's either baiting Stoudemire to do something he wants to do, or he's looking for that sort of adjusted headlock. Seen that move be effective for some wrestlers in the past, but it doesn't really work as well if you only attack to that one position. It kind of works better if you mix it up with some leg attacks. So let's see if Roscoff decides to take any shots. Stoudemire's just the same. You know, he needs to fire off a couple shots, but they're still in this feeling out period.
Stoudemire has been a pillar of success ever since he hit the campus in Chapel Hill, the White Marsh High School product. Mentioned a 3-time NCAA qualifier. He'll make it 4 for 4 after this run. Not too many can talk about that type of accomplishment. That's been the case, though, for Stoudemire, who's enjoying his most solid ACC tournament here today. He was 4th last year. He was runner-up in 2014, 3rd place in 2013, over 100 career wins through the years for North Carolina. He'll start in the down position, no score. Key match for North Carolina State. They began this weight division with the 5.5-point lead over Virginia Tech, so you can bet Stoudemire might have some Hokie fans in his corner if this thing stays close and goes deep.
How quickly allegiances can change, huh?
Certainly so.
Now, technically, Roscoff has to come out of this position, and he also has to return him down. He's only allowed to stay on that side for 5 seconds without making a turn. He's transitioned. He's going to come right back to it this other side. It's kind of a wild position to be in. He's got to be very careful, too, not to get get himself in too much trouble. Got a little high here now. Stoudemire looking to act, but Roscoff gets lower.
I thought for a moment that Stoudemire might be able to come out back door with Roscoff so high, and now they're going to stop it.
Roscoff's sticky.
Yes, he is.
I don't know. Stoudemire's got his hands full getting him off at this point. The only thing he's got going for him is if he can get him to stick on that head and arm. It's only a 5-second maneuver. You're only allowed to hold it for 5 seconds. So if he gets him to bite on that a couple of times, gets him high, maybe he can get out. But this is a nightmare for a lot of wrestlers. And Stoudemire, if he goes out here, could very well get called for a stalling, fleeing the mat.
Goes across the body this time, Roscoff does.
Still a touch high, though. You can see how his hip keeps falling. It's because he's keeping that leg so deep. And if he shortens that leg, he's probably a little bit better balanced. I'm wondering if that's something that they'll adjust here in before NCAAs.
Roscoff's going to stick in a second leg.
I would hate to be his wrestling partner.
Boy, he just grinds at you, just wears you out.
Pulling at joints that don't want to be pulled on.
Roscoff continues to work. He has over 1:30 riding time. It's been him on top this entire way.
Stoudemire almost did it there. What he needed to do was block that left leg from coming in, but his left arm didn't get quite low enough. And now he's kind of just tough spot here.
See the two Wolfpack assistant coaches in that last shot in the corner. Frank Beasley out of Bloomsburg, Adam Hall, 2011 Boise State graduate. It has been a record-setting year for North Carolina State. Number 2 in the final NWCA USA Today coaches poll, highest ever. The 23 dual wins this year, an ACC record. It led the nation. First program ever in NCAA history to win at both Iowa and Oklahoma State. Trips to Carver and Stillwater, and they came away with victories. Most recently, the national duels win against the Hawkeyes.
That's just incredibly impressive. Most people make road trips there just to take photos of the stadiums. These guys went there to wrestle, and they came out with 2 wins. It's an incredible year for them.
Let's see if Stoudemire can return the favor on top in this third period. He was worked over pretty roughly by Roscoff. No score, but Stoudemire in the top position trying to erase that 2-minute mountain of riding time that Roscoff had built. Roscoff into a stand-up, now a roll attempt by the Wolfpack wrestler. Turns and faces. Stoudemire keeps control of the left leg, and the two go out of bounds.
That's the transition right there you saw with that. Roscoff locked over top of Stoudemire's right arm. That's the throw that he was looking for from the very beginning, but he caught it in a transition there. It was out of bounds, but that was the throw he's looking for. If you watch during this transition, pops back up. Stoudemire's going to be on that single and stand up. Now watch how Roscoff overhooks on that right arm and comes back over to his left side.
Critical here for Stoudemire to try to ride out the next 13 seconds. Roscoff realizes that. Up into a stand-up. Try to get his weight going backwards a little bit to try to catch Stoudemire off balance. Not the case. Stoudemire has to return him down. There's the stall call. Stalling warning as Stoudemire did not return Roscoff back down to the mat in that allotment of 5 seconds.
Yeah. You know, at this point, you want to give yourself at least enough time to try to score a takedown. I would go ahead and cut him. You're not going to ride him for 1 more minute. Not without another stall call, you're not.
See the half applied by Stoudemire as he tumbles over with Roscoff. He has a leg. Well, he did have a leg in there, not anymore.
This looks a little bit more like a jiu-jitsu match than it does a wrestling tournament sometimes.
43 seconds
to go. Got to be very
to go.
careful here. If Stoudemire gets that half in and he reaches back a little bit, he's going to get turned. He's in a lot of trouble there.
Stoudemire gets back down to the base, and here come some of those Hokie fans making some noise like we talked about. trying to cheer on Stoudemire and help out Virginia Tech's cause. Roscoff, a roll through, and he gets away with 16 seconds to go.
We'll see.
Roscoff, North Carolina State. Tim, they're finding a way to win the tight matches tonight.
They are. They are. Stoudemire was in a good position there at the end. If he maybe got a cut earlier, could have had a whole minute to work. Got down to 15 seconds. Wasn't really enough time to find that. Wasn't enough time to find that takedown. Fans here are celebrating Roscoff's win.
Max Roscoff, your ACC champion at 165 pounds. Hard-fought 1-0 match. And I'll tell you what, Stoudemire nearly rode him out there for the full 2 minutes.
You know, once he got the stall call and they went to the edge at 1 minute, it looked like, you know, there's pretty much no chance he's going to ride him out. But with 15 seconds left, he was in good position. Came within a heartbeat of getting a turn. So what do we know?
Some more hardware being passed out. Let's go back to the championship stand at 157 pounds. The resurgence of wrestling for North Carolina State. Let's go over to the podium, and once again, here is Rock with the Wolfpack champion, Thomas Gant.
I'm here with undefeated and now ACC champion Tommy Gant. Tommy, you redshirted last year. What did you work on last year to help you be as successful as you are this year?
I would say my technique, because I go pretty hard, so got to get my technique right. So.
What are you going to do differently to go into the Nationals and hopefully win a national championship?
Score more points, man. Whoever has the most points on the board wins.
That's Tommy Gant, ACC champion.
8 NCAA wrestlers who remains perfect on this season after his hard-fought championship bout for North Carolina State. The Wolfpack winning a couple of tight decisions at 57 and 65, and now it's Virginia Tech's turn as we move up to 174. Returning All-American Zach Epperly for the Hokies, taking on Ethan Ramos, the top seed from North Carolina.
To all you young wrestlers at home, remember Tommy Gant's advice. Score more points than your opponents and you will win. Very simple advice. He works on technique. He scores more points than his parent. I got to tell you, that's my favorite interview this week.
Ramos, 21-3, was a 15-5 major decision winner in the semis over Virginia's Tyler Askey. Epperly picked up a semifinal win over the freshman from Pitt, Tashawn Campbell.
It's a small thing, but Epperly there just got a little bit lazy on the edge and allowed Ramos to grab back on that single. His left leg went out and hit a cord, and so they called it. But that's the kind of stuff that Ramos does really well. Right when you think he's done wrestling to a position, he's going to grab something else. Epperly needs to follow suit. He can't relax on the edge. He can't relax anywhere in this match. Ramos attacks.
Epperly on a 9-match winning streak. 3 pins, 4 bonus point victories during that tail end stretch to the season. We mentioned a returning All-American, 7th place last year for Virginia Tech.
Great right hand side high crotch. Ramos able to block it off pretty well, but he's on his hip. It really could be kind of close, but looks like Ramos was able to keep the whizzer in as well. Beautiful shot by Epperly.
No score inside 90 seconds to go in this first period. The collar tie by Epperly. Ramos backs away from it.
Outside single there by Ramos. He's got to get it off the mat, put it up on his opposite side hip. Also watch his ankles because that's where Epperly wants to go. He's got to whip out that left arm and attack the backside leg or stand it up and drive. Right now he's got to get it back into the center as well. He does not want to be caught on the edge. Epperly's going to attack that near side ankle as soon as he gets into a little bit more trouble. Plenty of time left on the clock, 50 seconds. He needs to baseball grip this. Now that he's extended, Ramos wants to put both hands on his wrist and suck Epperly back into the center of the mat. Reach up for a cradle would be another option. Talked about it. There's sometimes where there's a psychological win, and I think Epperly just found his first one.
No score, fresh start in the center inside. 30 seconds to go, first period. The title bout at 174 pounds. Both Epperly and Walls picked up the program's first 2 wins this year at the NWCA All-Star Challenge in Atlanta. Mentioned Epperly was seeded 7th a season ago, finished 7th. He was sent to the consolation round by eventual national champion and Penn State's Matt Brown. First period comes to an end, no score. As the disc comes up red, it will be Epperly's choice, and he starts down. Epperly, part of the Christiansburg pipeline that we talked about. 4-time Virginia state champion, won it at 4 different weights, 35, 45, 60, and 70. Here he's into a stand-up, a quick turnaround, and the escape for Epperly in a 1-0 lead.
Great job by Epperly to get distance, but then get right back into wrestling scoring actions.
So many times in the sport of wrestling, you see the brother connection, one brother following the other. Lots of times, little bro following in the footsteps as Epperly drops down on a low single. Has that leg elevated, looking for the back leg trip. Ramos gets out of harm's way.
Ramos did a great job of getting his foot basically in Epperly's chest. Epperly now with a nice little option there with the underhook. Ramos is tricky. There he was again. He's on the edge. Got into a little bit of a bad situation and shot in. Didn't score, but Epperly needs to be careful on the edge.
Inside a minute to go, second period, 1-0. Epperly with the lead. Zach and his older brother Matt, who was a 2-time ACC champion for the Hokies. Zach trying to win his first ACC title, just a sophomore. But a good-looking sophomore standing in his way, and Ethan Ramos. If you recall last year, Tim, Ramos had the stunner. He beat Sulzer during the regular season. Those two squared off again in the finals of the ACC championship, only to see Sulzer, Virginia win, part of that Cavalier tournament title.
Great high crotch there again by Epperly. Didn't quite get deep enough. Ramos doing a decent job also now with blocking with his head, looking for reshots on the edge. I'd be careful if I was Epperly.
Oh, beautiful try there by Ramos, but he runs out of room.
And there it is again. Ramos loves lulling you to sleep on the edge. I'm here. We can both try to work our way out. And then he's hitting nice high crotches. He's hitting drop leg, drop in doubles. Epperly needs to stay aware. Also finding Ramos is using his hands a little bit better here late in the second to direct Epperly on his shot. So Ramos is kind of setting himself up for a reshot as well.
Third period, Ramos will have a chance to get the escape back here as Epperly assumes position on top. Ramos quick to get out, and he is. Spins around, gets loose, and we start over. One apiece. No riding time factor, a minute 32 to go.
Neither of these guys are really getting in trouble on their own shots, and it'll come down to who shoots next. There you go. So Epperly's going to try to focus on one of the legs. Focuses on the bottom, steps over, pulls it off the top. This is textbook stuff. He should be able to finish here pretty quickly. As long as he gets his head past that knee, he should be in great position to finish. If he doesn't, he won't.
Epperly clears the head However, no points given quite yet. What's his next step of order here?
It gets his arm in front. Tell you what, though, Ramos is tricky. Has his arm in there. That's actually a really good position for Ramos to be in for a reshot as well. Able to get that now. As soon as he goes to his hip, that's actually fleeing the mat, and that should have been called. If not, they're going to go ahead and... A little shocked they didn't call that fleeing the mat on Epperly.
Yeah, they
backing out
they
of that.
described it as action. So Ramos, kind of a quick word as he turns back into the center. This is what you expect from two returning All-Americans, two young sophomores for the title at 174
Ramos
pounds.
with just a very basic high crotch to double. After all that playing around, it just becomes down to the basics here.
Ramos takes the lead.
Wouldn't be surprised to see him let him go a little bit easier here.
Epperly on the roll through.
Epperly's
He's close to coming out.
Remember, the reversal rules aren't as strict as takedowns, so all he has to really do is kind of stand behind him a little bit, get that free arm. Ramos, tricky.
The escape for Epperly, but there's only 5 seconds left. 3-2 Ramos, North Carolina, and the Tar Heels have captured their second ACC champion, and they deliver a huge blow to Blacksburg.
Excellent wrestling by Ramos. That straight left-sided high crotch to the double was obviously what mattered in this match, and he set it up the whole time. Didn't really give up on his own offense. Didn't take too many big risks. This is solid throughout wrestler. Here we go. Here's the winning takedown. Opens up, actually an open side double. Ends up on a left-sided high crotch, right back into the double. Drives. Able to suck in that left side and break down Epperly's left knee and hip. Great attack.
Let's go to the championship podium. Your winners at 165 pounds. Looking pretty good for North Carolina State. Max Roscoff, the latest Wolfpack wrestler to win the title, a 1-0 decision over John Michael Stoudemire of North Carolina. So Roscoff and the Wolfpack all smiles. As we go back to the podium once again, here's Rock Harrison.
I'm here with ACC champion Max Roscoff. Now, NC State's had a great season this year. What has your coaching staff and your teammates done to help you become an ACC champion?
Just the training in the room. We're in there working as hard as we can every single day, and the guys in the room push me every single day, and that's just how I become ACC champ. It's just my amazing coaches that gave me the opportunity to come here, and my teammates that support me.
Max Roscoff, ACC champion. Back to you guys.
So the Wolfpack in Virginia Tech get ready for another duel here at 184. Zach Zavatsky of Virginia Tech, the good-looking redshirt freshman at 22-5, getting set to take on Pete Rinda of North Carolina State. And to be quite honest, Tim, this becomes a must for Virginia Tech and Zavatsky.
I mean, it's an absolute must-win, and you have to get 3 in a row, and you got to get some bonus points. So that's kind of a tough. That's a tall order, especially when you're facing down Gwizdowski here at the end. Because it looks like it's about a 9.5-point turn heading into this match.
Zavatsky in the green singlet, or I should say the green ankle band, the silver singlet for Virginia Tech. Rinda in the red ankle band, the red for North Carolina State. Look at that pick.
Awesome. That was
Beautifully
great.
done.
Beautiful. One of the best techniques we've seen today on that. Beautiful ankle pick right into the finish and strong double. Really nice job by Zavatsky.
So 19 seconds in, Zavatsky strikes in a 2-0 lead. Zach Zavatsky, Pennsylvania native, ACC Wrestler of the Week after led the Hokies to dual wins over both Pitt and Edinburgh. He had a second-ranked upset over Vic Avery, the Fighting Scot. He knocked off Avery to take home the ACC honors. Good-looking freshman. Pennsylvania State champion his senior year, going 42-0.
He's looked as good as anybody in the country this year, especially as he's gotten later in the season. You mentioned the win over Vic Avery. That's somebody that people think can beat Gabe Dean. That's somebody who they think can compete for the national title. So, you know, what's that? Law of law of this. He can compete for a national title as well.
Renda gets the escape, 2-1. Zavatsky with the lead.
Transitive property. By the transitive property, he can compete for the national title. I got stuck on my own words there.
Zavatsky has wins this year over Arizona State's Blake Stauffer. We mentioned Avery, also beat Renda in the duel this year. Renda had his way in the semifinals over Alex Utley of North Carolina, 12-0, while Zavatsky won by decision over Adamson of Duke, 8-2. Their route to this championship bout. North Carolina State with the 9.5-point lead on Virginia Tech with 3 weight classes to go. After this weight class, Virginia Tech will have 2 guys still looking for a championship. North Carolina State will be down to 1, but that 1 carries a lot of thunder in Nick Gwizdowski, the heavyweight, at 285.
Rinda had a real chance there with that underhook and Zavatsky's head pressure down to create a little bit more offense, come underneath, look for the ankle tap, bring his head down, maybe work some short offense, but you know, he's not getting too many opportunities right now, and I'd like to see him take advantage of that one. Rinda also may be playing for top. He's very tough on top. He rides with great short legs. He's super aggressive. So maybe what he's trying to play for, try to, you know, mitigate the damage of that first takedown.
Zavatsky had the early takedown before you could blink an eye in this first period, but both wrestlers settling in a little bit as we take a look again at the team standings. North Carolina State looking for their first team title since 2007. The Hokies won it in 2014, but Virginia Tech's going to have to play some catch-up. Trailing North Carolina State, the Wolfpack enjoying a solid championship round, especially in those head-to-head battles.
Excellent round. The skip has him ready. Zavatsky with that low ankle. Kind of transitions sides really well. Little high up on Rende. Wants to stay a little bit lower to try to see if he can do a better version of a mat return, but go out of bounds, so you get another shot at it.
Renda, a 2-time NCAA qualifier. He'll make it 3-time after this year. Had a tough ACC tournament last year, finishing 5th. After a real good dual portion of the season. Let's put it all together, though, today here in Charlottesville. And Renda goes out of bounds for a clean start. 1:33, second period. Zavatsky still leading behind the laurels of that early takedown.
Yeah, Renda's got to get a little bit more side-to-side action here if he wants. This stand-up he's doing is like a kind of a baby stand-up. Like you see a child get up off the floor. It looks a little bit like that. It's just not super effective right now against Zavatsky. He's got to change up a little bit, do a couple more knee slides. He's got 4 fingers there, but he's got to be careful not to get pegged.
A good scramble there by Renda, and he's able to get free.
He's got about 1:11 on the ride time, so that's a little bit unfortunate for him because I'm sure he was trying to factor in some some third period ride time of his own.
2 apiece, 1:14, second period. Championship at 184. Off the collar tie, Zavatsky trying to drop down to a leg. Nothing there.
I didn't really see Renda try to set up much. I know he does, he does work a lot from the top. I mean, with his 12-0 victory and his in the semifinals, but we need to see a little bit more action. There you go. High crotch to low ankle. He's only got 15 seconds to finish. That's going to be a tall task against Zavatsky. Looks for a Blair spin, doesn't quite get it. Ends up on top, though. Really great scramble here by Zavatsky. They should have called two based on the fact that Renda's still on his hip, but no points given. The little Blair spin was pretty nice. Most of the guys today have been focused on locking their ankle, keeping pressure down. Zavatsky went right into that spin.
Very animated Frank Beasley for North Carolina State in the corner. Third period, the wrestlers start on their feet. 2-2, riding time in the corner of Zavatsky, the top seed of Virginia Tech. He has a minute 11 of riding time.
Yes, so Zavatsky even saw it too. Once he got that minute and 11 of riding time, he doesn't want to give that up just for the opportunity to get out when he knows it's a really good chance that Renda's going to be able to hold him down. And now Renda's off his game. He's got to try to take another shot.
Renda with a shot. Comes up empty. Here comes the counter by Zavatsky.
Renda gets his hands free, gets his legs free. He's got to keep moving here. He's got to move to a side. He's not going to get many opportunities to get Zavatsky's head down. Coaches are appealing for the same thing.
They're trying to get Renda to circle around to one side or the other, but his wrestling shoe onto the hardwood floor directly below and off the side of the mat, so they go back to the center. 1:16 to go, Virginia Tech, and there's a slight slimmer of hope trying to stay alive with Zavatsky and their team title. Renda could deal the finishing blow for North Carolina State.
Renda does not appreciate the head tapping and is trying to return fire a little bit. I think he needs to focus a little bit more on the offense and not so much on the pattering of heads.
Renda needs a takedown, trailing by a point with riding time. He's looking. See that underhook by Zavatsky on the right side.
High crotch, but no penetration. Now he got a nice re-shot. Wow, Zavatsky can roll. That was amazing.
How about the work by the freshman Zavatsky? Incredible when it looked like Renda had him dead to right.
It's really hard to impress a whole group of people. That was really some of the most impressive scrambling we've seen today.
Renda still kicking and fighting underneath, but he's running out of time. Zavatsky content. Virginia Tech knows they kept their candle lit. And the Hokies pick up the championship at 184.
We will watch this. This is incredible chain wrestling. Zavatsky gets passed by a little bit by Renda, does a shoulder roll, comes out into his own double leg, and finishes pretty quickly. It's really impressive wrestling by such a young wrestler. Zavatsky is competing for a national title.
Big win for Virginia Tech. We go back to the podium, the 174-pound weight class. Ethan Ramos moving up a weight class this year to 174. He is your ACC champion. He's with Rock Harrison.
I'm here with Ethan Ramos, now ACC champion. Now, last year, Ethan, you may have snuck up on some people becoming an All-American, but now everyone knows who you are. What are you doing differently to make sure that you're prepared for people gunning after you?
I'm just working on everything that I see as a flaw I'm trying to make it my strength, and other than that, I'm just wrestling hard every day.
Now, how do you feel moving up a weight class?
I feel great. I feel like it was a good move. I'm having fun doing it. Still feel fine, so it's going good.
Ethan Ramos, ACC champion, UNC. Back to you guys.
Second Tar Heel to win an ACC crown here tonight as we take a look at the team standings. Virginia Tech getting that big win from their redshirt freshman, and the Hokies close the gap a little bit more. Remember, they still have representation in these final two weight classes. North Carolina State still with their heavyweight Gwizdowski. Connor Hartman, the top seed, defending champion from Duke. Jared Haught of Virginia Tech, the number 2 seed, the redshirt sophomore, 17-6 on the year.
Hartman's a 2-time All-American, and I'm as guilty as anybody about sleeping on his potential. There's nothing limiting this guy. He had a great performance also at the All-Star Classic. Aggressive, well-balanced, good defensive wrestler, decent on top, does a lot of things really well. Really kind of crafts the matches around his style. He does a very good job of not wrestling his opponent's style.
Quite a minute into this first period, no score. See Glenn Lanham and Ben Whistle, the Purdue graduate, in the corner. I know Ben spends a lot of time with Connor inside that wrestling room. He's been very instrumental in Hartman's development and his success through the years for the Duke Blue Devils. Coach Glenn Lanham, his 4th year, the Oklahoma State product, has done a great job with Duke. We mentioned the 2 wins against ranked opponents this year. They upset North Carolina in Chapel Hill, and they followed suit with a Big Ten victory against Purdue. And let's not forget, this is coming off the heels of last year that saw Duke knock off 2 Big Ten teams.
Yeah, Duke is a program that just keeps laying the foundation to good things. Obviously, Connor's been has been a cornerstone of the program now for the last 4 years, and I would suspect it's going to be hard to fill his shoes, but with Fine Silver.
Yeah, the Fine Silvers.
And there's 4 Fine Silvers next year. 4.
Yeah, 2 more coming through Cherry Creek, I hear.
Twins. 2 twins. 2 sets of twins.
Think there's any cracks in the Fine Silver home ceiling? All the wrestling that must have went on through the years.
They are a genetic anomaly.
Connor Hartman. No score deep into the first period. Hartman's a 2-time All-American, 5th 2 years ago, 6th last year. Made it all the way to the semifinal round last season.
Great little duck option there by Connor Hartman. He stays aggressive, doesn't do a ton, but doesn't do enough to ever get called for stalling. So I like that attack. I think it had some options.
Look at how dominant Hartman has been in the ACC. His last loss, you have to go back to 2014. It was actually the opening round of the ACC tournament that year. He lost to Zach Knott. He has been perfection ever since. And here's a guy that, watching him, his 5th ranking in the NCAA, he finds a way to win the tight bouts. That's always been his pedigree through the years, is his competitive motor and his ability to win, sniff out those tight ones.
Yeah, he puts points on the board on occasion, but yeah, when it comes to a tight match, he doesn't seem too distracted by what could go wrong. He always thinks about what he can do right. He also looks like he's always been through battle. He's head up all the time, face to face with his opponents. Good little head snap there.
Jared Haught, the redshirt sophomore from Parkersburg, West Virginia. He was a qualifier last year, finished with a sub-500 record, but he got hot at the right time after taking 4th in the ACCs, won a match at the NCAA tournament. One of the young bodies for Coach Kevin Dresser in the Virginia Tech wrestling room.
There's a lot of things you can do with a wrestler of his size and athletic ability and growth potential. I mean, he's already shown his growth in 1 year. Give him 2 more.
Safe to say this is exactly where Connor Hartman typically is and about.
I think he feels delighted that he's in this position.
Low scoring affair. Hartman and Haught. Hartman gets back into the center. He had a long journey to his arrival at Duke. He is a Washington kid, Port Orchard, Washington. Dominated the state in high school. He landed on Duke's radar, and Little Lanham has turned him into an All-American, and in his final go-around in his senior year, looking for back-to-back ACC titles. He'll have a chance to show what he can do underneath and try to get away quickly from Jared Haught, and he does.
It's one of the more amazing parts of Duke's ascension is they have to recruit nationally, and they don't have a big budget. So they're recruiting on their name. They don't have a lot of money behind it, whereas Virginia Tech can go down the street at Christiansburg and go pull a kid out of the crib and just watch him wrestle for 18 years. You know, that's what they have at Christiansburg. And then also they have deep roots in PA. They have good, you know, they have these dynamic coaching staffs that are deeply rooted. I mean, what is Duke? What is Duke? But look how much they've done. So it's an impressive performance. Like open side double by Hout. Got Connor in a little bit of trouble, but that wizard really works. Going to re-attack. Overhook knee pick. Really nice job by Connor to score there on the edge and kind of put 3 points against Connor Hartman is going to be a tall task.
It's like a 2-touchdown lead in football, isn't it? It's tough to overcome with Hartman's defense and a 3-0 lead.
You know, this loss obviously puts the nail in the coffin for Virginia Tech's ACC title dreams this year.
Hartman trying to get the tilt possibly, but not able to turn the corner all the way. Hartman continues to work the wrist of Haught. Oh, now Jared Haught slips around and gets the reversal. So how about that? Late in this third period, a little bit of life from the redshirt sophomore for Virginia Tech. And
he's going to look for that takedown. He's going to go ahead and cut him right away.
Yep, he'll cut him free. Riding time is not a factor, so don't go anywhere yet. There's the cut, 4-2. Hartman with the lead, and now Haught becomes the stalker here.
Yeah. He's got to get Connor moving a little bit. Got to get him off of that well-balanced stance that he's in. Go low, go high, go side to side. He needs to try to find something. Decent shot. Got to come back at it.
We're down to 20 seconds. The hopes of Virginia Tech down on these final few ticks of this third period. Can Jared Haught pull off the comeback? Hartman defending every possible curve, every possible angle of attack. And not only will Duke celebrate, but you're going to see a sea of red start to come to their feet because they realize what has happened. Hartman is your ACC individual champion, but with that raise of the arm, North Carolina State becomes your team champion.
Incredible tournament by NC State. Obviously, first, kudos to Connor Hartman for his performance there. He's a wrestler who's going to go into the national tournament with dreams of the national finals, but certainly is an All-American candidate again for the third time, be the most successful wrestler in Duke history. But NC State wrapped it up.
You look at the individual side for Connor Hartman at 97 in the top 5 in the country with McIntosh of Penn State, Jaden Cox of Missouri, and then Brett Farr of Minnesota. Wide open at 197. Let's go back to the podium, 184 pounds, and a young Hokie from Virginia Tech about to be introduced. Not quite enough tonight for Virginia Tech, but how about the job of the redshirt freshman Zach Zavatsky? He's with Rock Harrison.
I'm here with freshman ACC champion Zach Zavatsky. Zach, you're a freshman. You don't wrestle like one. You wrestle very composed. What has the wrestling room at Virginia Tech done to make you so successful as a freshman?
Well, I just go in there with a goal to get better every day, a little bit every day. And all the people around me are pushing me all the time. We have great partners in the room and great coaches who put us through great workouts.
ACC champion Zach Zavatsky. Back to you guys.
And then there was one. It comes down to the 285-pound division. North Carolina State with the lead now. They have the 87 points. Virginia Tech sitting with 81.5. And here comes the big Gwiz. Nick Gwizdowski, the two-time defending NCAA champion, hook up with Ty Waltz of Virginia Tech.
I've been talking him up all day. I've either set him up for a monumental upset or it'll look prophetic about how good he is. I think that it's important to note that Gwizdowski, he won the NYAC International Tournament. In my opinion, he's one of the guys who could probably going to compete for the United States Olympic team in 2016. So Walls has got his work cut out for him. Gwizdowski, again, let's just keep saying big things about him. He could go down as one of the greatest heavyweights in NCAA wrestling history. He undoubtedly will go down as one of the best heavyweights in ACC wrestling history. I mean, the guy's got everything.
He was the guy that kind of got it rolling at North Carolina State. He started his career at Binghamton with Coach Pat Popolizio. Popolizio made the move to North Carolina State, and he brought his prized heavyweight with him. And Gwizdowski has been a machine. 83 consecutive wins all the way back to January of 2014. With his pin in the semifinals today, 58 of those 83 wins coming via bonus points. He's been that dominant.
Hey, look at the way both of these guys are wrestling right now. We shouldn't take anything against from Walls, who's an All-American candidate. He could be a national finalist himself. And the way that he moves around a mat is equally impressive. Not to mention he's just built like a...
Gwizdowski drops in on the single, and he'll latch it up for two.
And if you look at, again, like you were saying, he's built like a fire hydrant, but at the same time, look how easily it is for Gwizdowski to move around him. He gets that snatch single and he finishes. How many times today have we seen snatch singles end up in these roly-poly episodes? And Gwizdowski finds a way through technique and pressure to control his opponents more effectively than pretty much anybody we've seen.
That is the longest in the country, the 83 consecutive wins for Gwizdowski, the two-time champion. He's looking to become just the 10th Wolfpack wrestler to win 3 ACC titles, the third heavyweight. Sylvester Turkay, Tab Thacker. Thacker won 3 straight back in the early 80s. Gwizdowski with a 2-0 lead halfway through this first period.
Looks like it's they're getting some good sun down there at NC State too, huh? These guys have some really great tans across the board. Must be.
What do you say? The sun's a little brighter in Raleigh?
Yeah, it's totally natural suntan.
This year, I think it is. The way the Wolfpack have wrestled, holy cow. What a season for North Carolina State, and what an exclamation point they could put on it with Gwizdowski. Wrestlers go out of bounds as Waltz tried to get free. 2-0, Gwizdowski on top. Now, we mentioned for as dominant as Gwizdowski has been, Waltz wrestled him very tough earlier this year, losing 4-2.
Yeah. I mean, 4-2 can, as a score is a pretty
Right.
tight score. I'd have to look back at the match and know all the specifics, but for sure, Waltz is an incredibly athletic and talented human.
Waltz was the Cliff Keen Vegas champion this year, the first Hokie ever to win the Keen title in school history. He too, like Gwizdowski, a returning All-American, 7th place last year. Just dominated the Vegas tournament. I had a chance to watch a couple of his matches. 3 of his wins via bonus points. Won the All-Star match this year by beating Adam Kuhn of Michigan 9-3. Again, takedowns were worth 3 points on that particular night in Atlanta. There, Waltz is able to get away toward the tail end of the first period. Unanswered points, pivotal in what could be a tight bout.
I think they're going to go ahead and challenge this because it basically requires nothing. It does look like he's handing in a permission slip. or like his mom said he was sick today. That's what those challenge flags look like. In international wrestling, they have the cubes, which were actually sort of, they took the cubes and they adapted them. They started using Angry Bird. The Angry Birds, they kept throwing them across the mat. This piece of white paper that they hold in their pocket is not nearly as dramatic as it could be.
I think we could get some cubes brought
I
into
think we
next
could get
year's
cubes.
ACC tournament.
And it's not original, but the Angry Birds is always good comedy.
So they're going to take a look. Let's see if the point stands. Papalizio challenging.
Doesn't look like there was enough to overturn.
Nope, so they'll keep the point on the board. Waltz gets the escape. Walls with the escape and a 2-1 deficit. Flip of the disc comes up green. That will be Waltz's choice. He'll defer, and Gwizdowski starts down.
I would say it's a rare error for Gwiz, but at the same time, you're trying to hold down that mammoth human. It can't be easy, and he did it for 1 minute and 32 seconds.
Pretty easy, pretty routine there for Gwizdowski to cut free and a 3-1 lead. The two-time national champion. A lot of people this year paid the price of admission to watch this talented heavyweight for North Carolina State. Gwizdowski on a shot. Walls able to fend it off.
Kind of like a left leg, you know, he kind of used his left arm to keep Walls' knee tight and then suck it in, but again, just wasn't enough to get there.
Walls started to go in, backs up a little bit. Minute to go, second period. Ty Walls down by the 2 points. Gwizdowski has a minute 27 riding as well. The heavyweight division that has changed over the last 4 years as Waltz leaned in for a moment off that front headlock, but Gwizdowski so quick, and I mentioned how this weight division has changed because of the athleticism that we've seen from guys like Nick Gwizdowski. You know, its championship run started knocking off Tony Nelson of Minnesota, who was a completely different style, kind of a throwback heavyweight,
Right.
if you will.
Yeah, throwback heavy, massive human who wrestles internationally still and does a lot of wins a lot of matches. You know, I'm actually impressed with in this sort of last minute and a half. I've been impressed with Wall's positioning and his strength to move around Gwizdowski. Gwizdowski, let's not talk about the NCAA for a second for Gwizdowski. If he wants to do well at the next level, he's got to do a little bit better job of staying in position, because at international level, a step out could mean a lot. And for Gwizdowski, he's sucking a little bit of wind, but this is a good test for him. ACC tournament, to have somebody like Walls. Being good on top isn't going to get him very far at the international level. He's got to get better on his feet.
Gwizdowski on the edge as Walls turns and faces. I think our cameraman got a little nervous there. He saw the shadows coming. How about the job by our crew here in Charlottesville? These guys have been up all night. There was a late basketball game last night with Virginia and Louisville. It was an 8:30 local time tip. So these guys have been here all night getting everything set. Terrific job by our fantastic crew here in Charlottesville, bringing you every single minute of every single match today.
Yeah, absolutely brilliant job. 24 hours setting up and operating a tournament's not an easy task.
Waltz is able to turn and get
Walls
the
with the
escape.
reshot.
Drops right back down to a leg. What's
Gwizdowski
it need
got
to do
lazy.
to finish?
He's got to make sure he gets that knee down to the mat and get the hip. He can't let Gwizdowski put that weight on his shoulder, which he kind of let it extend, and now he's going to be on his hands. That's a tough spot for Walls to be in. He's got to get his hips up, head underneath, and reposition himself. Now he needs to double off. He can do that if he grabs that left, if he gets behind that left heel, head inside, possibly sweep back over the right-hand side. This is a really bad position for Gwizdowski to be in this late in the match. That's going to go ahead and stalemate it.
Gwizdowski hoping to get the stalemate, and there it is. With 52 seconds to go in the third period, and don't count out Ty Walls quite yet. Again, Gwiz has the riding time, so Walls needs a takedown to at least try to tie it. Can he get another shot like the one he just had a few moments ago?
Yeah, Gwizdowski's tired, and Walls does not seem as tired. They obviously have been battling pretty hard here for 6.5 minutes.
See the feet.
Great
There's
high
the
crotch.
shot.
He's going to finish that. All he's got to do to finish that is... It's a little bit tougher with heavyweights when you're trying to figure out how to finish something because you got so much weight on over top of your head and your shoulders. But Gwizdowski's getting lazy on his shot defense here late. And he seems content to spend the next 15 seconds in that position.
Boy, that is twice now that Gwizdowski has somehow found out a way to fend off two pretty sharp, crisp attacks.
I think instead of going down and allowing it to get to the level of the knee, he has to go up. He has to try to lift Gwizdowski and take him away from the mat.
A nation's best, 83 consecutive wins being put to the test here. But Gwizdowski, like he has throughout his entire career, finds a way to get the job done in the end. And North Carolina State caps off today's festivities with really the face of college wrestling this year, raising his arm in triumph.
Yeah, I mean, he's obviously got some things he needs to work on heading out of here, but he did a really good job, and he's an incredible competitor. Here's that final back and forth. Waltz with a desperate shot. Gwizdowski with a reshot. Right to the high crotch. Doubles it off, drives. Finishes up for his ACC title. Third ACC title, and on his way to his third national championship.
Let's go back to the podium, 197. Connor Hartman of Duke about to get his hardware for the second straight year. Duke crowns a champion and a familiar name for the Blue Devils. North Carolina State crowns a number of champions, and the Wolfpack rule the ACC this year with their team title. Let's go back to Duke, though. Connor Hartman standing by with Rock.
I'm here with two-time All-American and ACC champion Connor Hartman. Connor, you are now the face of Duke wrestling. Can you tell the fans and those watching what the experience of at Duke has helped to make you become the wrestler that you are today?
It's been an amazing experience, the entire thing. I owe a lot of it to my coaches and my community for supporting me. It's just been a privilege to build something from the ground up and be a part of something so special.
Here it is, two-time All-American, looking for his third All-American, Connor Hartman. Back to you guys.
He certainly has become the face of Duke wrestling over the past 4 years, and the chance to go out in a big way in New York City as Hartman is your two-time ACC champion. In just a few moments, they're going to usher in the heavyweights, and Nick Gwizdowski will take his spot atop the podium at 285. But Tim, you kind of look back at today as a body of work, and we started the day talking about the leaps and bounds that the ACC has made, and I think it all came to fruition here today in Charlottesville, seeing North Carolina State, Virginia Tech go head-to-head, and in the end, the depth of the Wolfpack prevailing.
Absolutely. I think Virginia Tech felt a little bit of a chip on their shoulder coming in. NC State had to combat not just this entire packed ACC, but a Virginia Tech team that felt as though it was, somehow cast aside there at the end of the season. NC State gets the big win in Iowa, gets all the press. They come here. NC State showed that they are probably the number 2 team in this country behind Penn State. And by putting a performance on against a very, very, very tough ACC competition.
So how about the difference a year makes? North Carolina State goes from 6th to 1st here at this ACC tournament.
6th to 1st in the ACC is one thing. They're 2nd in the country. No, they're a bunch of killers. It's amazing. I mean, there's no place else to look, right? You can look at the individual athletes. They've all put a great effort in. Their assistant coaching staff, Adam Hall, Frank Beasley, Obi Blanc, they're all great. But it really kind of comes down to wins and losses, Pat Papaplizio, the skip. he could get an easier last name, but that's why I'm going to call him the Skip now. So he did a great job. They earned this ACC title.
Let's hear the ovation. Nick Gwizdowski as he gets the gold and the championship once again. Let's join Rock Harrison. He is with the Big Gwiz for North Carolina State.
I'm here with two-time national champion, three-time ACC champion, Nick Gwizdowski. Nick, you've been an anchor for the Wolfpack for the past 3 years. How have you dealt with the pressure of being a leader as well as being a two-time national champion?
They go hand in hand. If you one and the other. So, you're a leader first, and then you say what you want to do, and you accomplish it, and making sure other guys see it's possible. And there's other guys on this team that can win national championships. So, I'm not always leading. It's other guys. So you run off motivation from those guys. So.
This is the Gwiz working towards his third national championship at heavyweight. Back to you guys.
NCAA best, 84 consecutive matches won by Gwizdowski, and the celebration is about to begin. And Tim, the beauty of wrestling, not only do you have the individual glory, but now comes the team glory. All those guys in the wrestling room 3-4 times a day getting their championship hardware, their championship hats, as they get set to be introduced to the crowd here in Charlottesville, your 2016 ACC champions. Let's join Rock Harrison one final time. He is with Pat Papalizio.
I'm here with head coach of ACC champion Pat Papalizio and the NC State Wolfpack. Coach, as they're celebrating in the background, you've built this team from the ground up. What have you done and what has the team done to be as successful as they are this year?
Unbelievable group of guys right here that have bought into a system with our whole coaching staff from day one, and it's worked. It goes back to their belief, their work ethic, and doing things right outside the room, and it carried over to the mat, and I'm just very happy and thankful for these guys. Their hard work's getting recognized with the results they're putting up, so I'm extremely proud of this group.
Coach Pat Papalizio from the NC State Wolfpack. Back to you guys.
It has been quite a year for North Carolina State wrestling. The last time they won the ACC championship, 2007. Back then, Carter Jordan was the head coach. It's a new regimen with Pat Papalizio, and what a job he has done. Coming over from Binghamton, he had the back-to-back really solid recruiting classes. Started last year. You have Gwizdowski, guys like Thomas Gant who bought into the system right away. Gant became an internal flame inside that Wolfpack wrestling room. He bought in, kind of got some of the other veterans to follow along, and then you bump in that young crop of talent like we've seen the past 2 years from his recruiting classes. And I got news for you. North Carolina State is here to stay.
Absolutely. This is a top 10 program for a long time to come. I think the ACC is on notice now as well.
Taking time now to recognize the most outstanding wrestler of the tournament. No surprise, it's Gwizdowski capturing the MVP of the tournament, his third ACC championship, and he had to battle it out. He had to grind it out with Ty Walls, the guy who knew he would have to, and two wrestlers who are very familiar with one another, but in the end it was Gwizdowski. And there is the team trophy, the biggest, the most important piece of hardware saved for the end here as Pat Papalizio gets in position as he calls out the rest of his team, and the presentation just moments away. Long time coming for North Carolina State as they capture their 15th ACC championship.
I guess that's like Gatorade.
Notice who did that, the quick one, Thomas Gant.
Yeah, right.
That won't catch him. Lightning quick on the mat, coming back after his redshirt year last season. Gant was one of the individual champions today for North Carolina State. And for one final time, here in 2016, inside the John Paul Jones Arena on the grounds of the University of Virginia, the show belongs to the red and black of North Carolina State. The Wolfpack, your 2016 ACC champions. So, Tim, let's get your closing thoughts as we get set to get the plane tickets and head to New York City in less than 2 weeks.
I think we really learned that the ACC was here to wrestle. It wasn't just a matter of them wrestling each other, because that doesn't tell you too much, but it's the way that they wrestled. They wrestled through positions. They're ready to wrestle for the national title. I mean, Penn State obviously has quite the advantage when it comes down to it, but NC State, Virginia Tech, those are top 5 teams. And for the first time, I think, in ACC history, we're going to see a team from the ACC come back with the team trophy.
It's going to be a lot of fun. All the action kicks off in a couple of weeks. New York City, one of the most famous arenas in all of the country, Madison Square Garden, the setting. So we go from Charlottesville to New York City, but in between, Raleigh is going to do some celebrating. North Carolina State, your 2016 ACC Wrestling Championship. For our entire crew here in Charlottesville, alongside Tim Foley, Gerard "The Rock" Harrison, our entire crew behind the scenes, this is Sean Kinney saying good night, everybody from Virginia. Congratulations to North Carolina State.